My name is Total Biscuit of the WoW podcast, Blue Please on CynicalBrit.com. This is another one of these short-form tour videos that I'm doing to zones that haven't had huge changes, so I'm going to be showing you the various areas that have been altered, and a couple of nice things as well. For instance, the fact that you can now see pretty much all of the ruins of Lordaeron from the air. I'm going to show you that, I'm going to show you the Scarlet Monastery from the air, as well as changes to Brill, and a couple of new areas, and little alterations here and there. So this is the old map, and now I shall show you the new version. This version's a bit more detailed, and you can see a number of areas that you perhaps don't recognize. Now, first things first, I'm not going to show you the Bulwark because I've shown that to you already in the tour of the Western Plaguelands. So if you want to see that, then I'll put a little annotation down the bottom there so you can go check that one out. That's quite a nice tour video. That's a lot of changes in the Western Plaguelands. But in this case, not so many. So, first things first, let's have a look at the actual Undercity itself and the ruins of Lordaeron from the air. Here we are in the courtyard. I'm going to be heading all the way up. We don't need to really go either left or right because we can simply fly through this wrecked skylight into the murky green outdoors. And there you go. Now, I've had so little need to actually go to the Undercity previously that I had no idea that most of this wasn't viewable. Turns out that it wasn't, so I'm told by everybody. It's like, hey, can you show us the ruins of Lordaeron? Yes. There you go. I'll have a good fly around, show it to you from different angles. I swear this is half the fun of Cataclysm. It doesn't matter if you're the most casual of casuals who just likes to wander around the world seeing what's up, or if you're the most hardcore of raiders that spends all their time in a dungeon. It's always nice to look at something you've seen before from a different perspective. In the case of Cataclysm, most of that is from the air. And that is a very cool way to look at things, no doubt about that. Bear in mind that a lot of this before Cataclysm was actually smoke and mirrors. It was tricks put in by the programmers. It was like a cardboard set piece. It was actually flat. There was nothing really behind this. Hell, half the buildings were only half textured because you wouldn't have to see them from the other side. Just a case of saving time and, of course, money. Now they've really gone all out. Everything is properly modeled. It looks like it was always there. There you go, quite the view. We'll manage to get just the right angle so that it looks sunny here. It's really not supposed to do that. Tirisfal Glades, as well as the Silver Pine Forest that I will show you in a future video. They're very dark, they're very dingy, but they've got this odd quality to them. I think the quality is called purple. The Forsaken are massively into purple, for whatever reason. Right, speaking of purple, the next thing we're going to have a look at is Brill. The town named after a fish. God knows why. It's one of those towns that I never really had a reason to visit, but you'll see here it's been updated with the Forsaken purple. They're big into that with the architecture. Got some Tesla coils from Wrath of the Lich King, as well as a statue of the Dark Lady Sylvanas, who's looking particularly busty, if you get my drift. Maybe you don't. Mount Mendes are still all there, but the whole thing's just been updated with much better texture work across the board. In a masterful stroke of irony, the Forsaken areas have really been brought to life by the use of this new updated texture work, as well as the various doodads that you saw in towns in Wrath of the Lich King, such as the one in Dragonblight. Okay, let's have a look at our next area. This is a completely new quest hub called the Calston Estate, and there are a number of interesting characters wandering around it, so let's go have a look. It's kind of like a small Forsaken farmstead. An evil farmstead! With bad pumpkins as opposed to the nice ones that say hi and bring you tea and biscuits. You got a couple of vendors wandering around here, as well as Gordo, the Abomination, and a very scared-looking zealot. Do you really blame him? Not exactly. Gordo's been tending the fields and looking after the corn. And also slaughtering innocents. He'll also fix your stuff. I have no idea how. And he will sell you some delicious plague mushrooms. Yummy. The next area for us to have a look at hasn't changed all that much. It's the Soledon Farmstead, but the thing that I really want to show you is the enhanced fortifications from the Scarlet, which you'll find to the west of the area. You'll notice the watchtower there on the map, and this is what it actually looks like. The Scarlet are getting a little bit serious over here. They've got maybe 2.5 watchtowers. Must be an improvement on last time. Tirisfal farmers are still trying to eke out a living. I can't imagine why. of all places that you'd want to farm, would you really farm here? It's like, it's covered in plague. Seriously? This area is full of low-level scarlets, and there's an interesting thing atop this tower that I noticed. I had to look up what this was, because this is apparently part of the Forsaken Starting Zone quests. It's an intriguing undead NPC. Her name is Lillian Voss. In her former life, she was apparently some kind of Scarlet agent, highly trained, but when she died, she became the undead, and yeah. Needless to say, the Scarlet didn't really like her for that. She's heavily involved in the starting quest lines, and apparently it's very neat indeed. I will show you that in a future video. One of the unique things about her is that she's not a Death Knight, and yet she has blue glowing eyes, which is extremely rare for an undead NPC. Now, because it's the Forsaken, the next area is going to be Garen's Haunt, and their idea was we're going to make this area much better by covering it in, you guessed it, plague! So, you are the Minister for Agriculture for the Forsaken, yes? Yes, my name is Edward Humperdinck. Well, Mr. Humperdinck, how do you intend to increase the production of blighted, gnarled, and dead trees? Well, we were thinking plague. Possibly. And a guy in a wizard's hat, that'll help too. Why? Lord knows. And last but by no means least, that about covers it for changes really to the Tirisfal Glades area. I will be showing you the surrounding stuff like Silver Pine as well as some of the questing here in the not too distant future. However, I would like to show you the Scarlet Monastery from the air because, hey, it's the Scarlet Monastery and it's really neat. This is a bloody nice piece of architecture, honestly. Shame it's held by a bunch of religious zealots that want to kill you. No matter what your race, I might add. Nose, yeah, you're dead. Well, actually, come to think of it, that's entirely reasonable. The rest of them, not so sure. It's nice, isn't it? It's sad to think that after a year or so, this kind of view is going to become commonplace, but right now, it's so very different. Like, you don't see this. You know? In a fly pass, you might see maybe one side of it, but you don't get to view the whole thing and just how much work's gone into it. Speaking of work, there's a work in progress for you. No, I don't know what it is. Some of you have asked about that unnamed zone at the top there between Western Plaguelands EPL and Keldanas. That is actually Stratholme, which cannot be flown into. That's an unused area right now, and they will fill it with something, no doubt. They just haven't done it yet. Beta is beta at the end of the day. And there you go, ladies and gents. There's a short look at Tirisfal, covering all of the changes that I and WoW Wiki know about. If I did miss anything, let me know, and I'll try and do it in a roundup video at some point in the not-too-distant future. My name's been Total Biscuit, and I'll see you next time.